The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
This I've got to see.
It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
Oh yeah, I just showed a video I can't show anywhere else because of copyright, so I'm gonna press the button right now. Welcome to Power 60, gentlemen. The cheeky fucker in that video before is just a preview for the cheeky fuckers on this show. Welcome, gentlemen. Lance here, Patrick, Jason, Scott, Barry. You guys are fantastic. Welcome to Power 60, where we talk about real shit in the guy's world, creating polarity, red pill informed. I know other guys around the net would slam me for even saying red pill informed. You're either red pill or you're not, is what they would say. Well, fuck you guys. I can talk about it this way if I want. Red pill informed. Got some John Wineland going on. We've got Mark Manson's models. We'll see if we can get to that today. I always honor you guys first. Mark Manson's models. We're on part 2, chapter 9. Last time we opened up a discussion about anxiety and your edge. So when you start to push your edge, by the way, whether you're aware of it or not, you start to feel anxiety in your body. And guess what? You then cope with that anxiety in different ways. Maybe it's to eat a whole pumpkin pie like me, or to go buy some weed in Colorado, or drink a pint of whatever it is, or eat a pint of whatever it is for whatever it is for yourself, or whatever, maybe you go and fuck 12 women in one night like Jason Bradbury would do to cover the anxiety. I mean, if you want to do that, I guess it's a little tiring.
And then he yawns.
Dramatic.
You see that?
Yeah,
he said, fuck
like,
12 women, and then he just yawns like, oh yeah.
I got an afternoon. Time for yoga stretching after that, ladies.
I just don't know why I would cut down on a stressed out day. That's all.
Touche, my friend. Touche. Yeah, absolutely. Or whether you go jam on your guitar like Rob Piotrowski, the rock star that he is, however you cover that anxiety or deal with that anxiety, you may not know that you're pushing your edge. Rob actually was just in another group with me a few minutes ago talking about this with a guy about, he said he doesn't know what his edge is, and he's not doing any of the journal writing, and he's not doing, hiking for himself. And he's like, when I try to journal, I just get a blank mind, blank page. And that's fine. That's your edge. Honoring his own self as his edge. He was such a nice guy forever and doing everything for everyone else, a martyr, right? Which is what we think we have to do. Just abdicate everything of our own shit and just give over there, give over here. Whoever else needs it, I'm going to sacrifice my own self. Well, his edge is honoring himself at all, giving himself 2 minutes of permission to write in his journal. And it doesn't need to make any sense. It doesn't need to it doesn't need to build anything in this moment. It doesn't need to, have Rainbow Unicorn shoot out of his ass when he writes in his journal for 2 minutes. It's literally priming the pump of your own honoring of yourself. Okay. And if that doesn't sound familiar to you, then that's a problem, man. I mean, all of us need to prime the pump of honoring our own selves sometimes. And here's my point is that if it just anxiety comes in the way and all we do is fill that hole, cover that anxiety or that gap with something else, then we never do prime the pump of honoring our own selves. So let me go ahead and bring this up. The 3 parts of Mark Manson's models, the 3 fundamentals that he goes about within this book are honest living, honest action, and honest communication. And that means honest living is creating an attractive and enriching lifestyle for yourself. Okay. Honest action is overcoming your fears and anxiety around socializing, intimacy, and sexuality for yourself, because you want to do that for your own self in your life, because you want connection and great sex and blooming love, whatever woman that's with in your life, or women, the 12 of them. Okay. That's for you. And number 3, honest communication. Mastering the expression of your emotions and communicating fluidly, which means telling the truth. This whole book is Attract Women Through Honesty, Mark Manson's first self-published book. And here's a paragraph that I want to read. The sad fact about anxiety is that once you have it, it's there, and figuring out why it's there doesn't help much. You can either avoid it the rest of your life, or you can do something about it. And then he goes on to talk about, well, what do we do about it? And a huge section of the book is, what do we do about it? And a lot of this is leaning into our edge, as David Data would say. okay, and the anxiety of our edge, or the anxiety of not knowing our edge. So let's use that and jump around. I'd love for everyone to go if they have the opportunity. If you're busy, you know, whatever it may be, dipping your fucking biscuit in tea because you're bungee jumping off of a bridge right now, then you can stay away. But otherwise, where is your edge? And are you aware of it, right? Does anxiety come up when you're approaching your edge? And where is your edge in life right now? And you interpret that however you like, with your own self, with relationship, with career, with, you know, family, with physical exercise, spiritual exercise, whatever it may be. Where's your edge? And do you feel anxiety when you are pushing that edge? Okay. So I'd love for everybody to go. So unmute yourself and come on in.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah, Lon, go for it.
I thought I was a shy one, but
when have you ever been the shy one?
If you don't know me, I won't say a word to you. I'm one of those guys. If I don't know you, you might not thought I ever talked. So
I get you. Well, I'm honored that you talk with me, Lon.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Talk with us. Please.
I'm honored that I open up to you. For me, my edge is probably socializing. I don't really. I think you and I talked about this the other day. For me, it's that sort of branching out and sort of extending myself to other people, sort of being in social situations. I can be by myself all day. I can go hike out in the Black Hills, no problem. But, kind of going somewhere and doing something sort of scares the shit out of me. So, and right now it's a little tougher because of COVID. How I try to practice with that is when I'm out just in general. You and I talked about this. Literally, if I'm at the grocery store, I'll engage the produce clerk. I'll engage the teller. I'll engage the lady that's in the aisle, stocking shelves. I just try to do that. Try to, engage. I just kind of see how that goes. So.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel anxiety when you do that?
No, not anymore. No, I don't. I feel really comfortable doing it. And I've already, in not doing it very long, I've already sort of developed, sort of interesting ways to get into the conversation without making it sound like I'm, being really weird or off the wall. And,
give us one.
I was at Best Buy a couple of weeks ago, and there was an older lady in front of me, and she wasn't really in line. She was kind of off to the side. So I just asked her if she was, I said, are you in line? She said, I think so, but they told me to stand here. So we just started making fun of the guy that had supposedly put her there, because he had disappeared in some room. She said he disappeared into the, I don't remember what she even called it. She had a knee brace on. So I started asking her about her knee brace. And I asked if she had heard it I don't remember the conversations, but I gave some, I said, I assume you heard that surfing in Hawaii or something like that,
There you go. There you go.
And by the time I was done, I got out of her. She was a runner. She had both shoulders replaced with rotary cuff. I mean, we sat and talked for 4 or 5 minutes while we were in line.
Nice. Nice.
So that would be an example of that.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. So it doesn't feel like that's maybe even an edge for you any longer, or is it? I mean, is that still an edge?
It doesn't feel like an edge, but you know what I mean? For me, it may be different. Like you and I talked the other day. Let's say I go down to my local bar. I'll probably feel a little bit more kind of claustrophobic, possibly a little less, I don't know. We'll see. It hasn't really happened. I haven't really done it. Things are still kind of shut down here in Minnesota, so it's not. I'll let you know. How about that? So.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Well, thanks for going first, Lon. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So everybody's going to go. Unmute yourself. Come on in. Where's your edge? And do you feel anxiety when you're pushing it, right? Maybe you don't even know where that edge is. Come on in. This is my edge, just being quiet. There we go. Yeah, Barry, go for it.
Well, mine. We've been talking about it lately.
Well, sure. Yeah, go for it.
Literally jumping off cliffs. Sometimes I feel like I need to do something like go paragliding because, I don't know, it makes you feel more alive or something like that. And it scares the hell out of me when I'm doing it. But I feel like I need to do it anyway. So that's one of them. I mean, I think maybe Lon for me, a bigger edge is clearly what Lon was talking about, but and I'm not nearly as far along as he is at pushing that one. So, but sometimes it's actually a real edge too. It's just, doing something that's fun and interesting, that I just have this kind of weird attraction to doing, I guess crazy stuff that some people would say. There's certain things I won't do. Like, I'm not going freaking cave diving. That's just out. So much to Roger's disappointment. But, I think I'm going to go back paragliding next, few weeks. I think I haven't had enough yet. So I don't know. That's two things.
Yeah. So what is it about? Do you know what is it about literally jumping off cliffs that he's like, oh, I kind of feel like I have to do this. Do you know what it is?
No, I have no idea. But that shit keeps me awake at night. Like the last 3 nights since I've been back from that, I haven't really slept all that well, and it's definitely been, haunting me a little bit as to, whether it's something I really need to be doing or not. As when I used to skydive, it would be that way too. It would, getting on that plane with a parachute and everything on was way harder than jumping out the door once it got up to the altitude. Just getting on the plane, forcing yourself to just, because it scared the hell out of me. And so, and I don't know, back then I think, I felt more indestructible and I didn't really have as much to lose. So.
Well, I don't take you as a naive guy. I wouldn't ever say that you're a naive man. So when you were younger, I wouldn't think that you were naive about what was going on. So let me flip it a different way. Explain how you feel alive doing these things that are literally over an edge. What does it feel like during? So before, you've explained that. What about during or right after? What does it feel like?
It's funny when I'm out doing it. It's really more the fear really comes in more. Thinking about, going, getting in the car and going. Once I get there and strap on all the equipment and start doing it, it's just doing it at that point. It's just having fun. But which is kind of interesting, isn't it? Because it didn't really, I don't think about the danger and stuff while I'm there. And now, of course, when I stood up on that cliff and watched those other guys jumping off, I was like, okay, I'm not doing that shit today. But maybe next week, So
yeah.
So I don't know what it is that I don't know why I do this stuff. I don't know. Maybe I need a shrink. I don't know.
So let me give you a challenge. I say this to almost every single man that I work with. You just said the words "I don't know," I think 4 times in a row, and probably 10 times in the last 5 minutes. You said the words "I don't know." It's okay if you don't know, and this is what I tell every single man. Saying "I don't know" is a release of tension. It's like a release of responsibility. And what ends up happening for us, though, is it doesn't feel any better. It's just a release of tension in the moment of, well, I don't know, and that feels bad that I don't know. So let me just say I don't know, and then everyone will let me off the hook. But you never end up letting yourself off the hook. It still stays in your psyche of, well, I kind of want to, and maybe you don't give a shit, and that's fine. And I'm just asking you questions. But I would encourage you to, I'm going to say, don't use the words "I don't know."
That's going to be interesting. I'll catch myself and then walk it back, I guess, for a little while until I get used to trying to not do that.
Sure. So let me try one more time. What do you get out of literally jumping off of a cliff or skydiving or whatever it may be? What do you get out of it?
Maybe it's pushing through a fear and doing it anyway, even though in a lot of ways I don't really want to. It's funny because there's a lot of things that I do that I don't really want to, that I like. I kind of am glad I did once I've done it. Like, for example, just going out with the guys, I didn't do that much in the past. I didn't really, it's just such a hassle. It's just one of those things. It was kind of a hassle and I didn't really care that much about it. But once I'd make myself do it, I'd be, oh, that was great. I actually kind of enjoyed that. And So maybe overcoming a tendency to laziness or sloth or something like that. At least, the going out or doing things, or going out to the shotgun range to shoot around a trap or something like that. I could easily sit TV all day, or I can pack up all the crap and drive an hour to the range. And you can see why you wouldn't, might not do that, just because it's a hassle. And so sometimes I do it, and sometimes I get back and I was like, yeah, that's kind of a hassle. But most of the time I get back, I'm kind of glad I did that. And so, I had a great time this past weekend doing this, off on my own and all that sort of stuff. So I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I don't have all the answers. That's just a cop out. That's a cop out right there. I didn't use the I don't know words.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. You don't have to have all the answers, by the way. That's totally great. I love it. Have you always been this way, Barry? Have you always challenged boundaries and jumped off the roof and stuff?
I mean, yeah, the skydiving and learning to fly and the serial hobby thing and helicopter flying and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, those most of that stuff was in my 20s, and so, or 30s, and so it's not new at all. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus, I guess you'd say. So I didn't quit flying until maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when my plane partner lost his medical and we had to, we ended up selling the plane. But so that's been kind of more of a ongoing pursuit for a long time. But yeah, I've always kind of liked to do this stuff. It looks fun. I really, really, really want to do the wingsuit flying in the mountains. That looks just like a freaking blast. But I think that might scare me just a little bit too much. I don't know if I'll do that. Sure. And that doesn't count as does that count as I don't know? No, I'm not certain I'll do that. That might be too far. So
I love it. But so I'm going to plant a little seed for you to consider, and we'll talk about another time. Women love it when you own who you are. Women love it when you own that shit. Right. So
yeah, it does seem my wife's attention has been ramped up over the last few days. I can definitely tell.
Well, share with us. What's that look like?
I don't know. It's just manly. I guess I did manly shit for the weekend on my own and came back, and I don't know. Is paragliding manly shit? I don't know. Maybe it is, but it's certainly a risky enterprise, and so.
Yeah. Do you know that risk and turn on are within similar areas of the brain? So, and there's Robert Sapolsky has a whole Stanford class that I audited on behavioral. Well, what was it called? Evolutionary biology. That talks about how women are often turned on physically, by risk, because our brain has co-opted some of the same synapses and the same channels within our brain, and whether that's helped them survive in the past or not is debatable. But risky, pushing your edge, being the man you want to be, saying fuck it and going for what you want in life, on top of it being risky, are all huge turn-ons for women. Absolutely. Yeah. And owning it though. But if you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure why I like it, that's not gonna be good.
That doesn't work.
Right? So yeah.
What does owning it look like in that case? It's a good time and I have fun doing it.
Ooh, that's better. That's better. Pretend like you're fucking James Bond for 10 seconds.
It's a blast, man. It's a blast.
hey, Barry said that he didn't think he could pick up a 20-something. And I think that's bullshit. I think you totally pick up a 20-something.
I wonder if it's a outlet for pent up sexual energy. There you go. There's some deep psyche searching.
Oh my God. That's like the third line that you're going to say to the next woman you talk to. The third sentence that comes out of your mouth with another woman or on paragliding, you're going to say that.
It's the best fun I've had with my kids on.
I love it.
Who said I had my pants on, man?
This is getting better and better. Barry's getting better. Look at this, right before our eyes.
Well, like the best fun I had with my pants on ever.
Yeah.
And it throws in a sexual connotation, and it tells you how excited you are. Ask Jason.
Okay. There's an aside. You guys have to search for this video on YouTube of some dude skydiving naked. And they show him skydiving naked, just a brief clip. And then there's some dude on German TV talking about it. And he's got an elephant with a trunk, and he's shaking the elephant like this. It's about the funniest thing I've seen. I haven't seen that video clip in a decade, but it's hilarious.
What that speeds is one of those Aussie commentaries while he's falling naked with that Aussie commentary guy that Jeff likes.
Oh, yes. I have to see if Aussie Man has a review of that. That's a good question. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Well, thank you, Barry. I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for opening up and leaning in and pushing your edge here with us. I appreciate that. So, hey, good to see you guys. Kent came in. Randy came in. Richard's here. Scott, Rob, good to see you guys. Lon, Patrick, Jason, Barry. So our question for today is around edge. Our prompt is around edge. And do you feel anxiety when you're pushing your edge? Or do you have no idea maybe where your edge is? So I'd love for everyone to go. So yeah, unmute yourself and come on in. If you haven't gone, I'd love for everyone to go if we have time. What's your edge? And do you feel anxiety when you're pushing it? Whether that's for you or a career or a relationship or wherever it is in your life. So come on in.
Yeah, I'll put mine out there. My edge has always been around playing guitar, being a musician, putting myself out there. What are other people going to think? Am I going to match up to all my buddies that are fucking rock stars? It's like so much goes through my head with it. I got buddies in Whitesnake and Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Marilyn Manson, Disturbed. And when I put something out, it's like, am I going to match up? Well, it's a big head fuck. But, I pushed that envelope a few weeks ago, and it's, it was awesome, no doubt. But it's always been that mind fuck in my head, no doubt, always.
Yeah. Do you feel anxiety in your body, Rob, about that?
When I play by myself, no. I'm relaxed, I'm calm, but in front of other people, I feel that anxiety. It's a weird thing. And I even know musicians that are that way. And you see a lot of these rock stars that are out there getting drunk or something before the show just to deal with those nerves, those anxieties, to get up on stage and face 30, 40,000 people. It's a real thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Every day you got to be on your fucking ball. You fuck up on stage, 40,000 people just seen you and probably got a video of it, and they're going to post it all over fucking Facebook or some stupid shit. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. Slash just fucked up a whole song with Guns N' Roses on stage. How is that hitting you when you've been in that business for 30 years, 40 years? Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah. I can only imagine. Rob, thanks. Yeah. Lon, come on in.
I was just going to say to Rob, I was watching I don't remember if I was watching it or reading an article once, but the guy, Robert Plant, was coming on to play for some show, and he was nervous going on, and he said, Robert, because not him, the guy was, and he said, Robert Plant's in the back, and he said, Robert Plant threw up before the show.
Oh yeah.
And he said, if fucking Robert Plant can have stage fright, he said, I think I can have it too. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's something all those guys deal with.
Right. I'm just trying to think how many times Robert Plant's been on stage. Just imagine him throwing up before he goes on stage because he's nervous. You know what I mean? So, I think you're doing great, brother. So
yeah. I'm sure it happened more than just that one time with him. I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Okay. I'd love everyone to go. So unmute yourself and come on in. What's your edge, and do you feel anxiety when you're pushing it?
All right, I'm going. So I always seem to follow right after Rob, which always sucks. Yeah, I'm pushing my edge. Holy cow, big time. So last Wednesday was my last day at the day job. And I'm going full bore. I'm actually pushing the edge a little bit harder this week by taking a week off. instead of panicking into going and working and all that kind of stuff. So I figured I'm going to try to detox from stress, which is it's working out really, really well today. I got my best news from the doctor today that I've had in years. And yeah, I mean, it's, do I feel it? Yes. And quite honestly, it is a welcome feeling after feeling dead for a few years. So, I'm actually just using it. And the nervousness when it comes, I'm trying to calm myself when I don't need to. But if I just go sit down and do something for 5-10 minutes, and then when the feeling goes away, I quit. That's kind of how I've been doing things this week. So I think I've written I've probably written like 3 hours on blog posts and stuff this week, just sitting down for like 5 minutes and calming down and then walking away.
Hey, good for you,
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I think I'm using it right now, but it actually feels really good. It feels better than being dead. So.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Bradbury left the JOB. Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. Cool. I'd love everyone to go. So unmute yourself. Come on in. Maybe this is your edge. Maybe unmuting yourself and saying hey to the guys is your edge.
I caught myself leaning into something pretty hard yesterday. I was on the road, and Jeff, you know, I'm in sales, and yeah, I find myself very, very good at sales and creating that relationship when maybe the customer approaches me in a sense, or like reaches out first. But I found myself with some time yesterday kind of finding some anxiety in potential cold calls when someone doesn't expect me there. And I was like, oh, fuck, like, do I want to go and face rejection? Like, that caused a lot of anxiety that I hadn't felt in a while, because I was pretty good at that probably 3-4 years ago. And I don't know what's changed, but I was like, what is this? It was very strange. And I didn't completely avoid the cold calls. I still went through it, but I definitely was not as confident as I've been before. So that was a new feeling for me.
Well, thanks for jumping in, Ken. Do you have a hunch? Do you have a hunch what's different than 3 years ago?
I really don't know. I haven't had a lot of time to kind of dwell and, journal or kind of meditate about it. But I think just fear of rejection has really blossomed in me. I don't know if it's the relationship or, the divorce, or throughout the last 3 years, that's kind of been that time frame. But yeah, I'm gonna need some time to think about it. But I think just overall, the general consensus in my gut is just fear of rejection.
So I'm just gonna shoot a random question out, if you don't mind. 3 years ago, did you feel like alive with life, or did you feel shut down? Because I'm wondering if 3 years ago you just kind of didn't give a shit if you got rejected or not, and now you're more feeling everything.
Well, I think I felt alive to the sense that I was kicking ass in my job, and I really was, and I was building a territory. And I think a lot of it, I did kind of lead to this a little bit too here, even this evening, is my old mindset with my job. Like, I'm very close friends with the owner of the company, and I think that, and how I kicked ass for the first 4 or 5 years was I kind of wanted to, have that external validation, make him proud, or to, potentially be, not really the golden boy, but be impressive in his eyes. And now he's no longer the owner of the company. So I've kind of thought about that a little bit too, if that has anything to do with it. But then also, like, even back then, like, I had no problem walking up to people and creating a conversation and try to create new business. But now I think I've become so accustomed to 95% of my days is with current repeat customers. Maybe I've just kind of lost touch with creating new clients in that, and I just haven't really sharpened that tool. I'm not really sure what's the deepest issue there, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's probably a little bit of all that, but one thing that hit me there is there's Some of us are motivated internally by our own challenges, like I would say Barry, and some of us are motivated by other people's expectations of us, right? That they need or they want, and that's very much like me. Like I'll show up for someone else. I'll clean my whole car, top to bottom, inside out for a date. But for me, it's like, I haven't washed my car. I don't give a fuck if I clean the inside of my car. I mean, it's not super messy, but I'll do way more for someone else than I will for my own self. And then there's the rebels that just don't give a fuck about what anybody thinks, including their own self. And something that I've had to actually plan is how to motivate myself if it's for me. And that's a little bit about what you talked about. You cared about the owner, right? And so what's that higher calling or purpose or person or group of people or wrong that's happening in the world, that's outside of ourselves to motivate. I'm talking about myself now, to motivate me. If I have a gap in my calendar, my schedule, yes, I don't have to do anything. Okay, well, what's my bigger calling here? Why am I doing this in the first place? Should I make, right? So that's just a thought. And you and I connect in that way, Kent, and that I think you and I are both way more motivated by outside sources than our own self.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, I'll agree with you without hesitation in that, for sure.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I appreciate putting that on the table, buddy. Yeah, nice, Ken. All right, unmute yourself coming in. If you don't want to, I'm not going to force you. That's okay. Peer pressure, peer pressure. Unmute yourself. Come on in. Share what your edge is and if you feel anxiety.
All right, Jeff. I think my edge has always been either failure or failure to find that next adventure. When you're young, there's this all, I was just from one adventure to the next. And now that I'm older and retired, it's like, where is that next adventure? And, and or just the possibility of failure, how do you hang on to all the assets that you have and just trying to, leave a good legacy for, whatever, your kids, your wife, or whatever, just trying to make sure you don't get rid of that. So
Yeah,
it's kind of always been my edge.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. Do you have something on your calendar right now for your own self that is going to be pushing the edge a little bit?
I don't know. I've gotten a lot safer. When I was younger, I used to hang glide and race cars and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And now I don't do crazy stuff. And now with COVID, just haven't done a lot in the last year. I used to do a lot of hunting, and I just kind of stopped a lot of stuff that gave me a lot of adventure. So
yeah, do you want adventure in your life right now, Randy?
Yeah, I'm a lot more cautious, but I'm a lot more worldly and in my thoughts, and I wouldn't do something too crazy. Probably wouldn't go hang gliding again, but I'd still go hunt Kodiak bears or go anywhere to go hunting and not be afraid of it.
Yeah, well, I don't want to put you on the spot. Are you wanting to put that on your calendar? Like if I said, hey, take out your calendar and put it on your calendar somewhere, would you do that?
I don't know. Probably not right now.
Right? What if you just penciled it in? What if it was a pencil? What if you wrote a pencil really lightly? So maybe you didn't even see it.
I don't know. I'm just trying to find myself since I retired in fall of 19, just, figure out what I want to do and, that kind of thing.
Okay. So it seems like, if you don't mind me asking, it seems like that's not the direction that you're wanting to explore for your own self. What does finding yourself mean?
Just finding a better relationship with my wife and, just what's next after my 32-year career. And, I have a farmland and I have lots of things I want to do. And I'm just trying to find that direction to get to those things that you waited your whole life to do.
Yeah, sure. Well, that sounds like the elephant, right? How am I going to eat the whole elephant?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the first slice of elephant steak?
Well, I've always wanted to go elephant hunt, but I probably wouldn't do it now.
Well, hey, Barry's talking us into going to Kilimanjaro. You didn't talk us into it. Barry suggested that we go to Kilimanjaro next year. And I said, hell yes. Dennis Collins said, hell yes. I think who else did already, Barry? Who else said yes to Kilimanjaro next year, end of August 2022? Lon did. That's right, Lon. Hell yeah.
And John
Nixon.
Not John Nixon. Is that everybody? That's everybody so far.
Nice.
Hey, I'd love to go on a 30-day safari. There's just some things I probably wouldn't shoot now, even though you can pay a lot of money and shoot a rhino, an elephant,
right,
a leopard, a lion. I would probably not shoot them. I would probably hunt more of the hoof stock.
Sure. We might have another, Barry. Look at this. It just takes like a little push and Randy's coming. Randy's like, don't put me in. Don't
just a little walk to 20,000 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Just a jaunt. Barry's going to fly off the top of it. So, the rest of us.
I wouldn't do that. I'd rather ride in a Land Rover, look at lions.
We're going to do that too.
Yeah. Well, Randy, thanks for jumping in, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, Scott, looks like you unmuted yourself. Come on in, bud. Thanks.
Hey, Randy. How's it going? Hey, it's kind of weird. I mean, I just recently, a week ago, left my wife, so it's kind of learning everything about, myself again, because the last, 10, 11 years, it's always been about, I work, just so my kids and wife, they have everything they can do. And that's about all, kind of how mine's been for the last 11 years. So now I'm just kind of, I don't know how you say, I guess learning, on what I want to do now,
Yeah, one of my favorite questions. Do you have a hunch? Do you have a hunch what you want to do?
No, not really, because I ain't really never thought about it, Family was everything, so.
Yeah, so, okay.
Kind of new.
Yeah, what did you do before you met your wife? What kind of stuff did you do?
I was in the Air Force. I mean, then once I got out, then I met her, and I don't know, a lot of it, I mean, really all I ever did before, or even that, was sports.
Okay.
It's kind of like now, I guess you could say, I mean, that's kind of my vice. Golf is the biggest thing. I kind of look forward to doing that every weekend. Go out there and mine, goes, I ain't got to think or worry about anything type of thing.
There you go. So why'd you hide that from us?
Oh, I don't know. Just like I said, it's, I don't know, kind of, I guess, new, everything. I've talked to Rob a lot about it. That's my cousin. So he's kind of helped me out a lot through this.
Good. Yeah, I mean, do you feel like you deserve to have your own hobbies, Scott?
Well, yeah, now I do. I mean, when you think about it and everything, like I said before, I had them before, but when but work, I always made sure, I mean, my stuff came second to last,
Yeah.
It was as long as they had everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you were on exactly earlier. I said almost that, verbatim, the nice guy, and I'm speaking about myself here. We martyr ourselves for everyone else. You do what you're supposed to do. Like, that's kind of our plot. That's kind of our lot in life as men, right? We've been sacrificial for so much of history, and we provide, we protect, and then, oh yeah, if we have time for our own self, it's way down here in the list. Well, the shitty part is about all that is, as we all here know, martyring yourself isn't attractive and doesn't keep a long-term relationship healthy, right? So it's like, if we were just to go fight the other tribe and die in war by the time we were 21 years old or whatever, famine, if we made it past childhood and all that fun stuff, then we wouldn't have 15-year relationships, 25-year relationships. So Scott, like you were just saying, I had to learn exactly what you're talking about. Well, who am I? Where do I want to go tomorrow, this weekend, this summer? Who am I to even want to have a hobby or to meet my guy friends, right?
Yeah. I heard, I was on earlier when you were saying that, and I was like, that sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much do you honor your own self now in that you can have a life? You deserve to have a life for your own self as well, Scott. How much do you honor that right now?
I don't know. I ain't really thought about it, I mean, like I said, just I guess a lot knowing that whenever if I want to go do something, I can go do it, you know, type of thing. Where before, even before, that wasn't the case. Even if, there wasn't nothing going on, I still couldn't do it,
Mm.
where
Yeah.
now I can, type of thing.
Yeah, Scott, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear about the next 3 to 6 to 12 months of your life here, buddy. Like the door has been thrown open and you're just kind of peeking in. And I'm excited because all these other guys too have, found new chapters of their life that they may have never have experienced before. And you're just starting to write that chapter for yourself, it sounds like.
Yeah. And like I said, I've talked to Rob a lot, and he's kind of opened my eyes. And like I said, the past year has been rough, with everything going on. And like I said, just him talking to me and what what we've talked about, it's kind of opened my eyes a lot too, and just that.
Yeah, because how many years did you work on those oil rigs, Scott? You were working like what, 12 hours a day, what, 2 weeks at a time, I think?
Yeah, since 2009.
Yeah, so his life was really just his job for the longest time. Working away from home on the oil rigs.
Yeah, and that was the set schedule, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, but very rarely did that ever happen. I always worked over and to make sure we could do other things, or the family could do other things. Even after, and I stayed in the oil field, but I went, to building a lot of it, and I still, worked all the time, a day off here and there. But it's most of the time me working was anywhere from 2 weeks to a month straight, and then having a day off or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, welcome to the world of the living, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Rob knows, because I'd call him, it'd be, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'd be driving home, all the time.
Well, Scott, you're an honorable man, and our country runs on the backs of guys that are willing to sacrifice and put their shit forward like you have. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in, man. Good to see you. I hope to see more of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So who hasn't gone? Let's see. Richard. I'm not sure if Patrick can jump in. Come on. What's your edge? And do you feel anxiety when you push your edge? Thank you, Scott. That was great.
Physical.
Yeah, Patrick, go for it.
My physical thing is standing on an edge at a height has me trembling. I was held over a stairwell of a 7-story building, and it felt okay. I was looking down between my legs to the floor, and 2 blokes' heads that had thrust me over there spontaneously or whatever. The next day I looked over and my head started spinning, and yet strangely enough, my brother when he was alive, he could flick me around the air in a microlight, which has only got about a 1/4 inch of aluminium between you and the ground, an open cockpit style of thing, and it didn't bother me. So it's a weird, weird mindset, I suppose. So, and I understand, Scott, there, I've spent too much time working, sacrificing myself for the family and and everything, and I've only, just realised that it was a mistake in the last little while, which is, after 50 years, is a bit of a revelation. Yeah. So I've got to reset myself somehow. And even in my current situation, I haven't got time to process my own issues because I'm trying to help my son. So it's an ingrained habit. No, that's not it. belief. So yeah, but I find myself, you know, it's I listen to Chris Christopherson. I like him with the way he does the lyrics. And I'm a walking contradiction, partly truth and partly friction, taking every wrong direction on my lonely way back home. And what is home?
Yeah. What is home in here, right? What is home in here?
Well, that's which I thought was home. Home is a presence within yourself, and that has been shattered.
Yeah, for me, it's absolutely been shattered. I mean, that's why I found this work, right? And being in the middle of it, I'm never going to take anything away from the pain that anyone's experiencing. Eckhart Tolle suggests that we accept every moment as if we wanted it, and that's my paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly the way he put it, but what if we were to accept every moment as if we asked for it? And that's a fucking hard pill to swallow when we're facing tragedy.
Well, the essence is to live in the moment, because you're not in control of the future, and the past you can't do anything about except learn from it. So I've realised that love unconditionally and don't judge, and just live in the moment and have those moments.
Yeah. So you're rebuilding moment to moment in that moment. Yeah, Patrick.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, because if I try and look too far into the future, I've slowly learnt that you don't have control of the future and you can only react in the moment. And it's a little bit of, don't have those expectations. Don't have those covert contracts about anything, really. So, because it's in the moment, it's never going to be what you think, and you're never going to find what you're looking for in the place you're looking.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'll add something that may or may not be helpful here, but one of the meditations I do while I'm walking by the lake is I picture my mind as if I was 90 years old. Like, what would my mind be like if I was 90 years old? And then I bring that 90-year-old mind back into my current body, and I feel how different or how much appreciation I would have in this current body, but with the awareness of as if I were 90 years old. And it's a little trick that I've used recently to appreciate the moment, appreciate what I have in this moment, my health, my eyesight, my legs. Let's say the ability to even walk outside. Who the hell knows that, in 40, 50 years from now, we won't have the ability to walk outside. I don't know. But that's a little trick that I use to even appreciate the moment even more. Something I'll put out there. Not sure if you've tried anything like that, Patrick.
Well, I'm 69, so I'm closer to 90 than you, Jeff. And the things aren't falling apart, but yeah, I haven't got the physical strength I used to have, and that gets frustrating. You get tired. You're in your head, you're 30, but your body says bullshit, because you do stuff you used to do quite easily, and now it's a bloody mission. And if you hurt yourself, the bloody ache and the pain, when you were young, over in a week. Well, my age, 3 years later, you're still feeling the ache. And so it's very appreciate what you got now. youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah. That's exactly the point of the exercise. Yeah.
And you know, as you get older, you appreciate the simple things, good health, feeling okay, not waking up. And I mean, if I'm sitting in a chair now, when I get up, I'll creak and carry on. I'll be quite stiff for the first couple of steps as a result of a car accident and a few other things. Didn't have that in my youth. Spring out of the chair, probably didn't even sit in the chair, was too busy doing something.
Right.
So it's that sort of, like I said, youth is wasted on the young. You don't realise it until you get a little. I'm not saying I'm old. Did I say I was old in any part of this? No. So yeah.
Yeah.
And you realise actually that when you're young, it's about acquisition, and when you're old, it's about legacy. And legacy doesn't actually have to be material things. Well, it isn't. It's the memories and the relationships that you built.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Patrick, I appreciate your heart. I appreciate you being here and sharing with us. And even though you got a lot of stuff going on, you still open your heart to other men. And the posts that you put in the forum are like deep and funny and enlightening. I appreciate your energy, Patrick. Totally.
Oh, okay. I just fling in stuff there that I think that resonates with me, and somebody else might get a laugh out of it, or sometimes the way that happens with me, I read a lot, and if you ask me to say something, something will come out that I haven't even thought about, but it flows. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And I don't know where it comes from. I had to do a eulogy for my older brother. Well, I didn't have to, I did. And I didn't know what to say. His wife had asked me to do the eulogy. And I sat down and typed a little message that was sitting on a plaque beside the computer that said, it's a Kubla Khan quote about yesterday is only a memory and tomorrow is something, and today well lived, something. I forget how it goes. And I thought to myself, I'll just type that message out, just to start the page. Didn't know that I was going to include it or anything. I just went, and I did it. And then I went, Dick died living well. Dick died living his dream. And I got up 20 minutes later with a page and a half done, and I don't know where it came from. I didn't want it to stop. Each time I typed a sentence, the next sentence was there, but it wasn't there 2 sentences previously, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's another edge, I suppose. I don't know how I tap into it. It just happens.
Sounds like something to explore. That flow is something to explore, and maybe that some of that writing will be part of your legacy as well.
Well, I tend to write a bit more now for whatever reason, and things that move me and open my heart in them and be me. Well, I always did that, I suppose. See, I can, and don't ask me why, I didn't used to be able to do it. You can put me in front of a crowd of 300 people and I can talk spontaneously and from the heart. Doesn't bother me. Used to. Now, get asked to, I've been asked to spontaneously talk at a funeral and left people crying because I've just spoken from the heart about how I feel about that person. Hadn't prepared it, just got up and said, Don't ask me. I don't get up with the intention of making people cry. I just speak. And I don't know why it doesn't faze me. Other people can't speak in front of 300 people. Me, I just share.
Yeah, I'm going to press pause right there. I mean, that is an incredible superpower that you have. Public speaking is the number one fear, right? So I'm going to press pause for sake of time, and I actually want to share. So Patrick, that was amazing. And if I may butt in here in the last 2 minutes of our call, I want to share something that is edge for me. Is that okay, Patrick? This video. So there's a John Wineland video where a man asked him about self-confidence and lacking of self-confidence. And the answer that John Wineland gives is actually, you could say harsh, you could say just fucking direct and to the point, but I've queued this video up, I think 4 or 5 different times. The show, relaunch groups, stuff like that. And I haven't shown it yet because I'm actually a little bit afraid of how people are going to take it, how guys are going to take this, if they're going to get butthurt by it or whatever. So I'm going to share this right now. I'm going to punch into the chat the 3 things that John Wineland says are the ways to trust yourself more. This is called ways to trust yourself. And he says the 3, and they're in your face. And I'm going to leave this as a cliffhanger. I'd love to talk about this video. Well, next week, I'm not going to be hosting this show. So that it'll be the first Wednesday of May that I want to come back and talk about this clip. Okay, and I'll put the link into the chat too if you want to watch it again another time. But let me share this. This is Edge. I'm curious how you guys are going to take this. So we're going to have to talk about this next time. Here we go.
So the easy answer to that is so how do I trust myself means how do I not listen to the voices that tell me I'm not doing a good enough job? Okay, so the way to trust yourself more is to not think about yourself, right? Because the self-doubt requires self. You guys know what I'm saying, right? Self-doubt requires a focus on self. So when you're trying to set structure and you start thinking about it, are you doing it right? You're not feeling her or it or the relationship or the space, right? Not just you, Oliver, like, you know, this is chronic amongst us men folk, right? And so that whenever you're focusing on yourself, chances are it's not going to be the highest vibrational thought. I think that's just pretty much, we can all agree on that. Unless you're doing the kind of occurring world work or you're doing the kind of work that we're talking about. But when you're focusing on serving others, when you're focusing on blasting love, when you're focusing on opening your wife's heart, when you're committed so much that, so usually lack of self-confidence is the byproduct of self-referential thought. It's the byproduct of a weak commitment, and it's a byproduct of giving up too soon. So if you add more to those things, if you make your commitment like, baby, we're going, I'm sorry, but we're going. Like, you better have your shit ready because I'm taking you out Saturday night. I don't give a fuck what you say. I mean, open-heartedly, yeah. You know? And if it becomes non-negotiable and you tussle, so she's going to come with you. You're going to step in. She's going to like try to smack you around, and you're going to have to dodge and parry, which is part of what we're going to work on tonight. You're going to have to actually like tussle with her until you open her. And again, we spoke about it a lot this weekend, but she's going to poke you in that place because she knows it closes you. She knows that it gets you to be like, oh, I'm not good enough, and then she keeps poking that place until you won't do that anymore. Because then she can relax when you stop doing that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to the rest of you guys? Yeah. Whatever the chronic complaint is, she's doing it because unconsciously, not consciously, you know, she's not thinking like, oh, if I poke him in the place where he's just most neurotic and sensitive, he'll become a better man. No, they're not thinking like that, but there is this kind of natural dance of wanting to poke you in the place where consciousness is weakest.
Okay, real quick, at the end, he talked about evolutionary psychology and why their femininity wants to poke you so that she can feel your strength. That's a little less debatable, I guess you could say. But prior to that, the whole first 2.5 minutes where he said, to fix a lack of self-confidence is you're you're probably giving yourself too much referential thought of your own self. You're putting yourself into it too much. You're thinking of your ego too much. Number 2 is a weak commitment. And number 3, giving up too soon. And again, I'll have to cliffhanger this. I'd love to talk about this clip next time, which is going to be 2 weeks from today. I think May 5th is the next one of these that I'm going to be hosting. Yeah, May 5th, same time, 7 p.m. Mountain. Next week, I'll see if one of their coach, either Rob or Jason want to sub. Rob's done it in the past. He's usually my go-to. So I'll see if one of these 2 guys wants to sub next week. But I'd love to talk about this video 2 weeks from now around commitment with your own self, right? Giving up too soon, thinking about yourself too much, and all of those things causing a lack of self-confidence. Again, I would not share this with guys that have their hair on fire or I felt like could push over easily, because this is a pretty like in your face way to talk about you're lacking confidence because you're thinking about yourself too much and your commitment's too weak and you're giving up too soon. I mean, that's pretty much in your face.
Yeah. And like I always like to say, when she's poking at you like that, right in that moment, she's your biggest fan. She's your cheerleader trying to cheer you onto the fucking end zone. You just, we don't see it that way, the way she's doing it, but that's what she's doing. She's your biggest cheerleader in the fucking moment.
Yeah. Yeah. The archetypal feminine, so like capital F feminine, not necessarily her as a human. She wants you to succeed. Her humanness may get in the way of that, but she wants you to succeed. Absolutely, Rob. I totally agree with that. All right, gentlemen, great to see you. Lon, Patrick, Jason, Randy, Scott, Rob, Barry, Richard, Randy, appreciate you guys. Kent, have a great night. We'll see you same time, same channel. Well, next week, maybe it'll be one of these guys. Otherwise, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Ciao, guys.